Whew, it's hot now. Okay, hi guys. We're just back with part two with Mike from Russian Circles. So just wait for him to pop back in. Um, if you have any questions, just write them down below or send them to me via the box. Um, it makes it easier to track. Awesome. Back again. I was gonna say, yeah, and the thing with having such a diverse roster as well is like you get to collaborate and see and work with so many other different types of music and artists. So, I know you worked on Chelsea Wolfe's Abyss as well. Like you did little like guitar on there. So you obviously got to work with her and Ben, who's amazing as
Yeah.
well. Um, what was that like? Like that, working with those guys on that.
You should probably ask them. I kind of changed the way they do say.
Yeah,
I'm a huge influence on them, so it must have been really weird for them, I guess. But
yeah.
uh, Chelsea was having a problem with the lyrics, so I kind of just penned something down and ended up becoming.
Oh, little buffer.
Is your connection okay? Are we good?
Yeah, yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, they asked me to play on a number of songs on Abyss, and as a huge fan of what those guys do, I was really excited and felt fortunate for the opportunity. So each song I treated differently. It was fun to take on the role of writing to something. With Russian Circles, it's building from the ground up with nothing, So this was fun.
Yeah.
Like, oh, cool. They already have so much cool between Ben and Chelsea, so much cool things happening there. Whereas, like, what's my place here? What does a song need? Not what is me as a person. What it doesn't need. All it needs is whatever I think fits. It doesn't need the guitar per se. It's like, what does the song need, if anything at all?
Yeah, yeah.
Put on different hats, so to speak, for each song and see which approach works best for each song. Without any pressure of like too much of how do I perform this live or
Yeah.
how's this going to play out later. Because I knew I was not part of the band per se, so it's just like tactfully taking a step back and it's like, what would I like to hear as a listener with this song? And
Mhm.
so it's a very minimalist approach because, the songs again didn't need much. So it's fun to just try different ideas for each song and no hard feelings. Throw it out there, whatever they're feeling, cool.
Yeah.
And for the most part, most of it all worked out. But that was a lot of fun. It was fun just to kind of sit in with another band for a little bit and see how they operate in the studio, how they operate in writing. And I
Yeah.
love, Chelsea and Ben to death as people and as musicians.
Yeah.
So similar to Dave is another comfort thing. I'd already toured with Ben and Chelsea with Russian Circles, and we had been friends already, and got along great. So there was no hurdle of like, oh, how's this going to go, or what if
Yeah, it
there's no
was.
guessing. It was just like, cool, let's have a good time here, and we exchanged tracks back and forth, so it wasn't a lot of like them watching me do stuff and them like, nope,
Yeah.
do something different.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a totally a fun. I loved it. It was a great just to do something different than what I do with Russian Circles too. Not totally different, ballpark, but still
Yeah. But
fun. Loved
getting
it.
to deal like with the, obviously getting to deal with the music with the lyrics is a different, something you're not normally doing. So that's
Yeah, you gotta not step on. You can quote the lyrics or the melody or whatever, but I didn't even worry about that. Even I just kind of like you leave room for that primarily. And
yeah, yeah.
Chelsea sang on a song of ours, and that song was written for her, for Chelsea, as far as her.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was a good, and it wasn't too different for us, but it's like, oh, let's not distract anybody from what's happening here. So that
Yeah.
is for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Is there anyone like on the label or not on the label that you would like that's like your, dream collab?
You know what? There's so many people I've talked to and not followed through with where it's like, oh, we should do something together. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I lay awake at night. It's like, why don't I just like send them something, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't want to like be rotting in the grave and being like, oh, I should have done better than that.
Yeah,
Everybody's
yeah.
approachable in the label and everybody gets along so well that, um, I wouldn't be surprised if cool projects just pop up, you know, as far as it doesn't have to be, no one's unobtainable. No one's like, oh, that would never happen. Because everyone's down, I feel like, as far as sharing ideas, and especially these days where everyone's kind of locked down.
Yeah.
There's nobody I'd like to name. I'm just a fan of so many of the bands on that label, and it's already happening where different people get together. And
Mm.
I recorded a song with Iowana a few years ago, and it sounds like that's going to come out in July. It's
Oh,
not,
cool.
so in a few weeks, but
Yeah.
so that's another instance of like, oh, cool. That was Kathy kind of mentioned doing a reworking an acoustic song, an acoustic version of one of her songs, Iowana songs, and that was just like, yeah, why not? That's a fun thing to do. So, what I'm excited for whatever comes down the pipe, you know, but it could be anything. There's so many cool artists that do different things, you know, and like you have to.
Kathy's just chimed in and she said, I'm going to make you all do stuff together. My Plague album.
Okay, yeah, it'd be a hot mess probably. Everybody wouldn't shut the fuck up, but it'd be like Bitches Brew or something. But in a bad way. No offense to the Bitches Brew. It'd be a fucking clusterfuck of all of us doing different things, though. Yeah, but there's so many cool people I'd love to collaborate with. I just need to like follow through with it. I feel like because the extensions have already been made to one another
Yeah.
as mutual like fans of each other's work. Where it's like, yeah, like don't rock the boat of the band you're in, but if you want to do something, go do it. I should take my own.
Yeah, yeah. Even like just like during this period, like people have been doing so many like little, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna bust out a random cover, or I'm gonna like, you know, get Wah to come and do one song, and they
Mhm.
do like a, you know, that kind of like thing. I mean, it'd be amazing to see you like, I don't know, bloody hit up Troy and go and do a song with Mastodon. You know what I mean? And like,
I think all
you
of us
know,
budding like home recording
yeah,
producing now. Like I've learned, I've been obsessed with like tracking better demos here and getting things dialed in more. So it's been fun to kind of like, all right, if we're spending the next year under lockdown and all my bandmates live in different cities, thousands of miles
yeah,
away, so it's like, let's find a way to convene. We're all kind of tightening the ship a little bit, tightening things up. Like, how can we make this work, you know? So I
yeah,
met most bands who don't live in the same city, everyone's taking it upon themselves to kind of arm themselves with the just the ability, or I can't find the right word for it now, but just
just like the
the
tools to
self-sufficient
do things.
at your home or studio to make your own stuff, you know. So, and that really lends itself to collaborative efforts, you know. So
Yeah,
proficient, what I was looking for. Um,
yes,
but yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if cool things pop up because we're all getting more comfortable as far as recording, and it's a great time for it. Like, and say you don't have to tour behind it. So much of Russian Circles is like, let's write a record and tour on it, and that's how every band works. There's a touring
yeah,
cycle. So you write, you record, you tour, and then do it again, do it again. But in times like this, I think we're all getting a little like, all right, let's do some time for something else, you know. So I wouldn't be surprised,
yeah, yeah,
not just with Sargent House, but with every musician out there. You're already seeing cool things pop up,
yeah,
cool
yeah,
stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised. I'm excited to see what, as a fan of music, I think we're all going to get a lot of cool things coming down the way in a few years. Just all the pent
yeah,
up stuff that's happening right now. There's cool things happening
yeah,
everywhere, you
yeah,
know, but we just can't hear it yet.
yeah, yeah. Is there a new like or a plan to for a new Russian Circus album? Is that
Um, it's like not like here's what's happening, but absolutely like the minute like we were supposed to fly out for our European tour on March 10th, and
mhm.
we canceled the tour officially on that day. Like, and at the time, it was kind of early on. We're like, we had to make a big statement about it. Like, please understand why we're canceling this.
Yeah,
Or like, then, you know, it was a mess in Italy, unfortunately, but not anywhere else in Europe. So it's kind of like,
yeah,
oh, like, are we doing the right thing here yet to nix this tour? But the minute that was canceled, it was like, all right, my goal was just like, I want to write as much as possible. So, what can you do? I don't, some people feel kind of like uninspired right now, and I get that. The world is, there's so much going on right now. There's a lot to be bummed out on. So that makes sense to me. But for me, I just feel grateful to be in a healthy spot mentally and physically, where I feel better, like waking up, I have a goal. I know what to do. I'm task oriented. I want to start getting some things
Yeah.
down. And
Same.
when I go to bed, I know I did something today. I'm working towards something. Even if I'm just throwing riffs in a riff bin to be
Yeah.
another day, that feels good to me, because the harder I work now, the more will pay off when we're putting a record together. So, and I talked to the
Together.
phone about what kind of records and what do we want to do, and it's fun to just all of us share ideas about what do we want to do, and so we're all inspired and looking forward to doing something. It's just a matter of when we can get together. Like, there's no time soon will we be jamming in one room, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like, well, that's unfortunate, but doesn't mean we can't be productive. So we're sharing files.
Yeah.
I've never been more happy to be writing riffs right now, to be honest. I am in a good spot for that, thankfully. So to me, it's easy. My life's easy right now. As far as some people are really affected adversely by this, which is
Yeah,
unfortunate.
yeah.
But I am short of money, you know, no longer available from tour. It's like, okay, get over that and you'll make things work. But I still can show up
Yeah.
today, you know, and check in, you know. So that,
Yeah.
so I'm excited. I again, like I said, like half an hour ago, I'm not distracted in the creative process. I'll get back to
Yeah,
it
you feel
today.
you seem very zen with the place that you're at the
I,
moment.
yeah, I'm very grateful, to be honest, if anything, where I can be able to do this, and there's something peaceful about it. Of, you know, I never know, like, what am I going to do? I haven't been bored once since this all happened. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
always like pretty amped, you know, like that's
Yeah,
self, you know, you know, I'm aware there's things happening in the world, so it's my self escaping into my what I can do, you know. But if that's what's working for me, I'm not going to stop it. You know, I'm aware there's a lot of things that need attention right now in the world,
yeah,
and I'm not ignorant to those. But I don't feel like I'm any better off by letting them consume me. So
yeah,
I try to just
100%.
control the world in the way I can best, I feel, and that's my
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah, yeah. Just getting all those riffs down and yeah, like and I was gonna say when we were talking about about like obviously looking all the learning other people's songs and all that kind of stuff. How does it feel being on the like having that flipped? So like when you're at a show and the show's over and you have like fans coming up being like, how do you do this? Like how does this work? What pedal do you use? Blah, 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 nerd like talk. Like like is that a weird thing? Like, or are you just like really accustomed to it now? Like,
It's flattering, if anything. So I'd never be like, oh God, what do you want to know? String gauge?
yeah, yeah. Is there some stuff that you kind
It's
of don't
kind of
want to
soothing.
give away?
I'm sorry.
Is there some stuff that you kind of like don't want 100% give away as well?
Uh,
Like, like you kind of want to tell them how you did it, but not 100%.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like it's your little thing.
You know what? Like, no, everything's up for grabs. There's nothing that, like, oh, if they find this out, I'm wrecked. I'm a fraud. You know, it's all up for grabs. You know, like
Yeah,
there's no secret to anything. You know, like every record you're starting from scratch. You need to build something up. You know, so there's
yeah,
no sacred information that's like, oh, this is how this happens and this is how you do this. You know,
yeah,
tricks to the trade. You know, there's things I've learned that work well for me. You know, and for us as a band and writing dynamics that how we piece together a song and arrange a song. But it's always a compliment, you know. And I was always too shy as a kid to ask anybody. Like, I would never approach. I always thought it was
someone, yeah,
cool. I'd be like, I would never bother them, and not because I never feel bothered by it. I think it's always a nice gesture, and people are always cool about it. So I'm happy to share whatever, you know. And
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a fan of the guitar community, and that I try not to get into it too much, but I could go down that rabbit hole for ages and talk about guitar stuff. But so
yeah,
I'd
yeah,
be lying if I said I didn't care, and I'm happy to contribute to that world, you know. So,
yeah. I
but I
mean,
know
I
it's
think that's
also rude to talk about it to death, because who wants to hear about that? If you don't care about that, like I've seen
Yeah,
like
yeah.
fall asleep in conversation while I'm talking, I feel like, and knock themselves out on the floor, you know. So there's a time and place for it, I feel like. But yeah, to me, it's all up for grabs. It's exciting to exchange ideas, because maybe they'll tell me something that, oh, have you heard this pedal? Oh, I'm not. Or hey, check. People will give me picks sometimes, like, oh, what a crazy looking pick. I'll try that out, and you'll
Yeah,
find a
yeah.
for it. Or I like talking, but gear is just one piece of music, or one part of the one element of it. So much of it is like, what do you listen to? What are you consuming? Like via
Yeah, yeah.
osmosis, what's seeping into your brain, and what really gets you moving? You know, like that to me is more interesting than the gear and like the
Yeah.
the approach as far as how it's happening technically. To me, I like thinking about the headier side of it, kind of, where it's not just like, oh, you buy that pedal and you sound good. It's like so many of my favorite records happened with gear that,
Yeah.
you know, and
Sorry,
one
drop something.
work at Walmart and go buy it, you know. So gear is definitely, it's fun to talk about and whatever, all that, and technique and all that, but it's how, good songwriting is the most important thing. Like a good,
Yeah.
like that's what matters, is
Yeah.
where it all comes from up here, you know, from your
Yeah.
hair, you know. So it's I have fun talking about that just as much as I can talk
The
about
gear, no, yeah.
nerdy side. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it all, I guess.
Yeah, because you kind of have, I feel like there's like different groups of fans. There's like the ones who want to talk strictly like gear, or whatever. And then you've got the
Mhm.
ones who just want to be like, oh, hello, and get something signed,
Right, right, right.
and then you've got the ones who just want to like, hey, you really inspire me, blah, 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 and I'm chat. So it's like, yeah, it's cool. Like, I think it's good that like, I'm always like really love it when bands actually engage with fans. I always think it's kind of disappointing when you find out that, a band that you really like is like, I don't want to speak to anyone about anything. You know what I mean? And you're like, you're kind of a bummer. You know
Right.
what I mean?
I respect
Like,
people's distance if they need it, but as long as you're not rude to people, there's so much
yeah, yeah,
sides of the stage for just being cool to people, where it's like,
yeah.
how hard is it? It's harder to be like, how do you live with yourself if you're rude to the people who pay
So
to come
you actually pay to come to see you. Yeah,
with me? We're not a massive band where like we get hounded going down the street, you know, like.
yeah, yeah,
So it's very manageable and fine, and like everyone's cool. We're not like poster boys. We're not like
yeah, yeah,
we have old nerd crowd as part of it. So if
yeah,
it's a diverse crowd, but if that part of the crowd wants to say hi, great. Like it's not, we'd be fooling ourselves. We think we're getting hounded by like, oh, these girls
yeah,
won't.
yeah,
It's like this is brutal out there, you know. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's like no, that's not the case. Thankfully, that's never been on my radar as far as what I like about
yeah,
music. But that's why, yeah, I don't know. Part of the independent world is about who cares. The stage is just because it's higher doesn't make you any different than the people who
yeah,
are
to watch it. Yeah,
on the stage. One day you'll be on the stage and I'll be watching you play, you know, and it's really, there's nothing magical other than it's all doable. It's all up to people can make their own bands, make their own music, and keep the cycle going of influencing people. You know, so I was
yeah.
shows, like I said earlier, and I get blown away and just humbled by bands I see, and just like, damn, that was so fucking good. Like can't
I
believe it.
always go home and then have dreams like about like, oh, I'm a rock star, like I'm doing it, because you feel so
Like
like elated and like, like really like just like all your endorphins are going, and I'm like, oh, this is so good, you know, and it's like just totally different genres. And then like, I mean, with talking to bands, like, I mean, I revert to a 12-year-old girl and I'll be like, excuse me. Like, no matter how big or small the band is, I always am like so polite and like, excuse me, I don't mean to bother you. Like,
and
I always feel,
that's better than being too cool. Like the coolest thing you
yeah,
can do is like just be polite and say what up if you want to, but like to act
yeah,
like have any kind of tude. It's like if you can come up with an approach with a tude, then like you're better off just, you know, it's all good. Like, but I'd be lying if I can't even name more than a few people that were like confrontational, you know, and usually
Yeah, yeah.
amount of substances are involved in that, you know, so it's not even
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
a point. So it's a, yeah, to me, it's a non-issue. It's part of the gig, as I say, you know, it's like,
Yeah.
I'm grateful to the people who come to the shows, and yeah.
So you can't kind of play in a band and do this stuff without expecting people to want to be involved in it in that way.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying, like, you can't be like, be involved in that, like, especially in the live thing where you're like sharing all this energy back and forth with these people and then be, very cut off from the communicating them later. Oh,
Yeah.
Noella.
There are times where like I don't, if I have a bad show, I'm not going to go up. It's an emotional thing that happens with shows. When I don't have a good show, if I don't play well or something didn't go right,
Hmm.
I'm not going to put myself out there to get showered with compliments. That feels,
Do
I
you
just,
do a runner?
it doesn't seem, I'm not ready for that. And like, or
Yeah.
it's not like, oh, they didn't like it. It's just like, I mean, I guess I'm making it sound like, oh, I'm always out there like hanging out with everybody. Like I'll do
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
talk to people, but I don't always do that. Like I'm happy to see people, but sometimes playing is really emotional and it can go either way up there. You don't know, even though it's
Oh, yeah.
back to back. You just don't know. Even though the last show was great, last time you played there. So, and part of that's being professional and rising above and not being like a crummy person. It's like, yeah, fine. So I never want any
Mm, yeah.
negativity to spill onto anybody else, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm aware of that. But yeah, it's all tours and nights are different. Sometimes I'm out there hanging out, you know, having a beer with somebody, and some nights I'm just like, I just want to go for a walk in the cold, no matter where it is, for a minute and just get away from everybody. And then some
Yeah.
nights it's all different, you know. But either way, it's never a person or the crowd's fault. I'm always, you know, if I'm available or not, I'm stoked they're there, you know.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. So is there anything out now that you're listening to that you've just been like, whoa, this is amazing?
Just this week, Hum dropped a new record, Inlet, like, and that
Hmm.
I knew they were jamming again, and did shows last few years, but I can't stop listening to that record. I loved Hum
Yeah.
back in the day, and it's been ages since they did a record. And I came from the Midwest in the U.S., and they're from the Midwest too, and they're very
Hmm.
just like the most Midwest band ever, like normal dudes with
Yeah.
like sense of humor who just kind of like are very understated, and but they have riffs. It's just slow, heavy riffs, and there's something about that band. I didn't realize how much I missed them until hearing that new record.
Until,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's it's the first record too that's come out since the COVID nonsense. That's like, oh yeah,
Hmm.
records are still being released. So that's one
Yeah, yeah.
record that I
People
every
dropping
day
songs.
I'll finish it and put it on repeat again. So other than that,
Yeah.
into like, for some reason I've been listening to so much Pantera. I have no idea why. It might, because they're amazing, but it's bizarre. Like I'm literally obsessed with Pantera. I can't even, like, my friends are tired of me talking about it. I just can't get enough of Pantera.
Maybe you've like done a bit of a regression during this
I
period.
have.
And you're
I'm
just like
getting.
back in the bedroom reminiscing about playing riffs and
It's funny. I was listening to Pantera like on like a walk today, and I was like, man, like I was walking to my apartment, and I was like, man, like this seems still just as groundbreaking and like aggressive and insanely amazing as it was when I got it for my birthday when I was a little kid. And I was like,
yeah, yeah.
am I losing it? Like I don't know if it's a nostalgia factor or what, or just being
Mm.
infatuated with Dimebag, but like I'm nuts every day, almost every day in lockdown. I listen to Far Beyond Driven. Like, not even kidding. Like, I am like,
Yeah.
I'm not a healthy person as far as my habits right now. And that's not it can't be a good sign. But that's why the Hum record is like, oh, something new to digest, where I've not heard
Yeah.
the death, you know. And
Yeah, yeah.
a lot of what else? It goes in waves. Like if I get into a cycle, I just consume it, like crush it, just like
Yeah,
listen
that's
to
what I do.
much attention
Listen to it until it's
until
dead.
it's yeah, you're just like a psycho. So that, like, a lot of death metal, a lot of heavy stuff recently. I don't know if it's because all that energy in the world out there, but
Yeah.
or it can be like different. There's a Irish band called Lankum,
Hmm.
Lankum. Uh, they just did a live show at Kilkenny Castle yesterday, and
Oh
now
wow.
that they've been kind of doing cool stuff throughout this lockdown. But I've listened to a lot of traditional Irish music too, just for some reason. I'm not in a van playing it for other people, or I'm not as exposed
Yeah.
to people, so I can be very selfish and listen to whatever the fuck I want. And
Yeah.
I go to some really weird places. Moondog is another guy I've been listening to a lot, who's an
Yeah.
experimental dude. Um, that kind of stuff is fun. And then just more ethereal stuff at nighttime. The time of the day affects what I listen to, you know.
What you listen to, yeah.
Uh,
Same.
like as the day winds down, I find the music getting slower BPM if there's any
Yeah.
beat. But as far as new tunes, not a whole lot other than the Hum record.
Yeah, yeah. Did you hear have you listened to the new album that Al released that was just all Nirvana covers? Have you listened to that?
No,
It's
it's all
so
up.
good. Like I was like, oh God, this is gonna be either terrible or it's gonna be amazing. Because you know when someone like covers someone and you're like, but they've like covered their whole career from Bleach
Wow.
like right through. So they've picked like one or two songs, you know, from each release and done it, and it's actually really, really
Okay.
good.
I'll for sure.
Yeah, it's really epic. Like they bring like it's kind of like I was trying to explain to a friend. It's kind of like heavy, like Bleach, the whole way through, but heavier than Bleach, but all different albums, but all played in like the Bleach kind of vibe. But yeah, really much more heavy, you know. Yeah, it's really good. I
Huh.
was like, and then but I did the play it, kill it to death thing where I, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna
Or it's
have to switch to something else now
or it's like
because
embarrassing where it's like if it were a CD era, it's like, you can change the CD in your car player. There's options.
yeah, yeah,
It isn't
yeah,
just
yeah,
hardwired with this one record. You can put whatever you want in there, actually.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, that I go through phases where I'll just be like, I'm just gonna play this now over and over.
Yeah.
Like especially at night, like sometimes I'll be like, right, I'm gonna listen to this. Like I'll put on like I don't know, Anthony and the Johnsons and be like, I'm gonna listen to this. And then I'm gonna listen. And it's like when you look at your history and then you like see how much you've listened to that one thing. It's just like, oh God. And because no one can say anything, so I'll be like, oh, I'm just gonna play that one song again
Oh
and
yeah.
again.
It's
And
funny.
then you're like,
Our tour manager and our like merch dude, Tomas and Luis, they drove together in the last tour. We had to split up a
yeah,
vehicle. Their van like literally died on us, and we had to get like a different rental car situation. But Tomas is amazing. He listened to the same Blade Runner soundtrack, the original Blade Runner soundtrack, for like 8 hours straight. And like, and
oh my God.
I get that, but like Luis would get out like, dude, he's killing me. Like one song, one soundtrack, but mainly one song for 8 hours, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
you know, good music. Don't get me wrong, but it's funny. It's like, oh, we're not alone. There's other people out there who.
Yeah, when there's other people you gotta kinda yeah, like be like, no. I think is Luis is actually on, I believe.
Oh, nice. Fuck yeah. What up, Luis? You're super. I'm sorry I had to deal with that epic long marathon session of Blade Runner tunes. And then we finally
But
saw Runner, the new one, on tour for Tomas
yeah.
of
Oh,
Blade.
and Lewis is saying, and Tubla Tonka.
Oh, Tubla Tonka. That's a Czech. Oh my God, that's so good. Poor Luis. Luis needs a raise. That's amazing. Uh, got to do all this music. We finally saw Blade Runner pretty much for Tomas because he's excited to see it,
Yeah,
and he was like totally disappointed. And like, oh, it wasn't. No, it was.
wasn't what he wanted.
Yeah, we're like, damn it. We thought it'd be a nice little like fun thing to do, like a day off, and it was fun. But like
It
that
sounds like he's a hardcore
real
fan, really
deal.
hardcore fan. Yeah,
Definitely doesn't fake it.
yeah, yeah. No, it's yeah. I love that though. I love when you get a new album and you just like kill it. I mean, I love that. And then you move on to something else, kill that, and then you come back. Like, you kind of, I like to get to know it enough that I like could sing everything and like know exactly what's happening, and
I,
then like come back.
I'm a sucker for lyrics too. I mean, I love all types of music with or without, without lyrics or vocalists, but like I want to hear what they're saying. That's why like my favorite like heavy vocalist, even whether it be like Pantera, like Gorgoroth at the Gates, you can hear every word they're saying. So it's like you
Yeah.
you don't need to like look up like what are they saying? It's
What
like
the fuck are they saying? Yeah.
like so I love like even the new Hum record. It's like, oh, what's he saying? Like I want to make sure I know what's going on here. And
What's
I
going
can't,
on? Yeah.
but like there's some element of lyrics that I'm not part of that world ever. So that's a whole like mind blowing factor when it like a
Yeah.
certain lyric lands the right way with me. It's just like yes, and like that's the beauty of lyrics. I'm not unique, but
Yeah.
that really resonates with me, and that's fun. With a new record, it's like what are they chatting about? Like any kind of like weird stuff that's like a bit out there and you can misinterpret and kind of bend it into your
Yeah.
own way.
And how whatever it relates to you.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a certain like sci-fi element with Hum that's like I didn't know I was that into, but like I love it. Yeah, there's something that's like it's still personable though, it's still relatable on an emotional level. It's not just
Yeah, yeah.
a concept record about space by any means.
Yeah. They have that spacey vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that kind of, I don't know, I kind of like that nerdy, like, when like someone will have like a little bit of like sci-fi or like something going on there, and
Yeah.
it's kind of cool. Like they're just beaten, like totally beaten to their own drum, like, and
Hmm.
don't give a fuck what
Right.
anyone thinks. They're just
Exactly.
like, nah, I'm doing this, and that's what we're doing. And I love that about, yeah, like bands like that that can just be like, that's what I'm doing,
Hmm.
and
You're
it's
with
fun.
here, but here's what we're doing.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like even like what was it's really bad, but like the Danzig released an album of Elvis covers, and
Oh,
it's so
I thought it was a
bad.
joke. I didn't know that was real. I
It's
saw that.
real.
I
It
assumed it
is
was
real.
that
Yeah,
could be
yeah. If
good.
you want to punish yourself, listen to it. Um, but it's actually not as bad as I thought, to be fair. But yeah, like he's singing like proper singing, so it's very yeah, very interesting. But he chooses more obscure Elvis songs. So
That's cool.
he
Yeah.
doesn't pick like all hits. There's only I think maybe one or two that are like well known. All
That's
the
cool.
rest are like not well known. So it's kind of not as staggy, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
But like but also it's Danzig, so he's like I love that. He's like, I don't give a shit. I'm gonna do an Elvis cover album and I'm Danzig and that's what I'm gonna do. And it's kind of like I love that, like that it's just like this unapologetic like thing about him. And a lot of those big bands like Metallica as well, like it's like I'm doing this and that's what we're doing. And you're just like badass. It's
Yeah.
really cool.
I can't imagine what it's like for them. Like all the pressure. Like it's easy for people to
Yeah.
judge and throw shit their way. But it's like, dude, no
Mm.
one knows what's like. Metallica's so big. Like to be in their heads during writing, I would not. Getting text here. Pardon me. It would be God only knows. So I think it's a curse almost to
Yeah.
be that big, where it's like, so God bless them.
Yeah.
Like if Danzig can like not give a fuck, great. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I
Metallica,
think
there's so much money you're riding on a release of theirs, where like that's where Rocket's
yeah.
too big, where it's like I
Yeah.
don't.
And then I'll release something and it'll be like, like, I don't like a lot of the new Metallica. Like I'm just like more of the old Metallica than
Yeah,
the newer
it's a
stuff.
different. I had nothing to really. I'll always love that band, and it's just like anything that's not for me. It's like they're doing what they want to do, and that's cool. I don't. I
Yeah,
don't
and they just keep going,
they're-
like they're at that level
yeah, exactly. So
where it's like they've got families, lives, and all this other stuff. So, they need to keep doing things. But I was last year I was working on their Australian tour, and then they had to cancel because that was when James like
Oh, right.
said he had drug and alcohol issues again. And it was like, oh my God, it was like 48 hours of hell. I've never been through
They're like,
something so hectic in my life. It was like phone calls, like it was like just sitting there in front of a computer, like on like a messenger type thing, just waiting. It's like, okay, Lars is going to call back in a minute. And
oh
then
my,
Lars would be, and it'd be like, no, we're going to say this. And then it'd be like, and so then a mass message would go out. No, everyone hold. Now, this is what they're going to say. And then it'd be like 4 hours later. No, we're not going to say that. We're going to say this now. And it was like, oh my God. And it was like 48 hours of that. And it was like, then it was like, oh, we've got some, what do you call it? Like charity thing. So now we decided we don't want to say anything because it was a charity thing. We don't want to fuck it up. So now we're going to wait till tomorrow. But we all had to be awake. So it was like almost 48 hours, no sleep, just waiting on Lars to give us direction of what we were meant to do. And it was like hell. I was just like, I love Metallica, but I hate you so much right now.
you're close to
Like,
it.
I was like, fuck. But yeah, it's so convoluted and like complex because they're so big. And it's like there's all these parties involved. Like, it's just so, yeah, it's like a massive machine. And yeah, I can't imagine how frustrating and stressful that is. Because it's like, yeah, like, especially because it's like you can't, like, with more independent or smaller bands, you can, if like the drummer or the bassist or someone like can't go on the tour, sometimes you can replace them quite easily. And it's not going to, but like a front man, like you can't do anything there. Like, and if you're at the level of Metallica, you can't, it's just like you're done.
Yeah, there's no, yeah, it's all or nothing.
Like, yeah, so it's like, nope, that's it. We're not doing it. And it's like, oh shit. And then you have to deal with in the back, like everyone losing their bananas because it's been cancelled.
Right.
As on top of that. So you're like, oh, but yeah, it's nuts. But yeah. So what are your like plans really just for the rest of this COVID thing? You're just gonna keep busting out riffs and
I mean, professionally, yes, that's what I'm going to be
yes.
doing. It's when we do get
I
together.
mean, you can tell us what you're gonna do non-professionally if you like
Yeah,
video games and like listening to
I mean,
Pantera.
I like being active. I'll tell you both. Like, I mean, Dave is acquiring an electronic drum kit, so we can start exchanging ideas for the first time, which is different for us, So
Yeah, like a
that'll
new,
be cool to build songs that way until I can get to Chicago to jam with him. But
yeah,
so I just keep, nerding out in guitar world here, doing my thing. And that's like I
yeah,
covered before. But for me, it's just staying healthy mentally, and that means staying healthy physically too. So just getting exercise in a fun way, not exercise, but just like getting out there
I
and
imagine you going for a jog now.
Yeah, no, like just staying active, and
Yeah,
not. There's so much negative stuff to be focused on, and it does deserve attention, but not to let it consume you. That's kind of my goal here. It's just like keep, I don't know, not get thrown off from what I'm doing, So, but I mean, for a year we're not touring, so we've never been put in a situation. So, what can I do? The only thing, not the only thing, but one thing I can do is write. So, that's easy as far as like, what do I do? It's like you know what to do, just do it, So,
yeah. And do you ever go into writing with something in mind, or you just like bang out different things and then kind of bring them together later?
all kinds of ways. Sometimes like there's songs I've been working on forever that I just can't seem to put I frame it the right way. And there's some songs that just come together quickly, very quickly, and it's
Yeah,
which is great when that happens, But and some you find like you leave in the back burner for a while, and then like, oh, here's the other. You can come back to work on it later, and you find another part that goes with it. So I usually like to have not just one part, but several parts in a row, and then
yeah,
send for the dudes to check out. So it's not just like a riff without context. So yeah, I'm excited to see what comes with Dave doing his own drum stuff, and
Yeah, yeah,
whatever happens, I think Rob's excited to. We're aware that like next time we tour, it could be touring on not just our last record that came out, but like two records, you know. So
yeah, yeah,
like I can't. I love having something to do, something to be excited about. So like I'm if anything, I'm overly excited, and it's like calm down, man. There's like no, we're not gonna be in a studio for ages, so just there's no rush here, you know. So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
everything's good as far as like just if I don't play one day, like that's okay, you know. I cut my
yeah,
finger
yeah,
the other day, I couldn't play for a few days. It's like, dude, that's probably the best thing for you. You're probably, you know, overthinking everything and it's sounding too similar. So step away from the instrument,
yes,
enjoy other things in life because there's plenty out there. And I'm not playing guitar 24 hours a day. I don't want to make
of
it
course.
stop. But if you don't pick it up, things won't happen. You know, a riff might not occur if you don't play it. You know, so the more you pick it
Yeah,
up, the more I don't know. It's worth picking up because that's when if you don't, a song may never happen. So I hate to let a
yeah,
song happen because I was too lazy to pick it up or was. It's not about being inspired or not. It's like yeah, it's like a cat. Like go mess with the cat, go play with the cat. Like that's
yeah,
all.
yeah. And the more you kind of fiddle with things, the more, um, yeah, things evolve and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So and then learning to work with different. Uh, it's funny because now I have like my own laboratory here, where again there's no tour happening, so it's like every
yeah,
pulled out, every option is available at my disposal. So you start trying different tempos, different weird things you would never normally wouldn't do, and you was
would do, yeah, yeah,
yeah, and thanks to you know the time, you can really just go down each avenue you've ever considered, and I love the creative part of it. It's a lot of fun, so that's why
yeah,
I'm just alone, left to my own devices, literally. So
yeah,
uh, there's no wrong at this point. There's no like. It's just like throw the riffs out there. If we use them, we use them. If what falls to the editing floor, that's going to happen. So right now,
yeah, yeah.
it's not the editing part yet. Right now, it's just like
Fun, the fun, like just
yeah,
putting
get
things
stuff
in.
out there. You know, if
Yeah,
it's good, if I think it's good enough, I'll send it off to the dudes. And if not, then just like that's not good. Just because I worked on it doesn't make it good. You know,
yeah, yeah,
so there's a lot of stuff I work on that I'm just like that still is not there, and I just let it go, let it float
yeah,
away, and just like move on because the next song will be something different and more engaging.
yeah, yeah. Do you ever hear, like when you put something together, do you ever sometimes like already hear like what you think is gonna like what would go well, like drums or bass? Or do you just totally like go, nah, I'm not getting involved in that and just push
Uh,
your guitar? Like,
we don't try to step on anyone's toes as far as like you should do. I think it's all we have discussions about like what's most appropriate, but we
yeah,
tend to leave things open, and we have different preferences of what we like, you know, of
yeah,
tempo,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
feel, time feel versus full blown, you know.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
and it's good because if one of us solely had control of the arrangement, it'd get pretty stale after a while. So it's good. It's
yeah,
good
yeah,
to inject. Maybe we should inject that in there and do this and change it up. So
yeah,
when you have multiple people on a song, that's when it starts getting interesting because we have Brian
yeah,
at the end. So Dave and I have already it's gone through our filters. Then Brian comes in with fresh ears and he'll may alter the course a little bit, and that's what the song needs. Dave and I are like, by the time we record it, I've heard these songs and the riffs so many times. Any change,
yeah,
that's different. I like it, and that's almost
yeah,
to a detriment where it's fresh. But yeah, I appreciate the collaborative part of it, so, where it's no like you must do this.
yeah, yeah,
It's just we all just the riffs are thrown out there and we build upon the riffs, and that's they kind of get moved around like puzzle pieces, see where they belong.
yeah,
Like doing 10 different puzzles, but all the pieces are in one giant pile and you got to find out where they go, you know.
where they fit. Yeah,
Exactly. And so,
I get the next album might be a little bit Pantera inspired,
oh my,
riff wise.
yeah, oh my, yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's not stopping. I'm insane with it.
We'll have a little, it'll just be like, wow, you pass it on. It'll just be
It,
kind of
it,
territory.
yeah, thankfully, like I'm so versed in those riffs now. I know if it sounds too much like it, it's like, well, that's this song.
Yeah,
I know that exact riff, and that can't happen. So, and
yeah, yeah,
yeah. Uh, Again, back to having filters. It's good to process all this stuff. I was talking to Dave yesterday, and he was excited
yeah,
about some funk beat,
yeah,
and
yeah,
when that goes through his filter and ends up in our music, it will sound totally different. Like some of our,
yeah,
like every band, we put it through your own lens, it becomes totally different. So like, well, that's why it's good to have different influences, because you can take something that's from a totally different world, and once it goes through your version of it, it becomes changed with a different bass line with it, or a different drum pattern, or whatever. And that's when cool things happen. It's not, if you just copy, if we were to copy Pantera, it'd be a watered down
yeah,
shit. Not be,
yeah.
but if we have
She,
different reference points for a song and inject different things from different uh, genres or ideas, then it becomes cool. And we always simplify things. So right off the bat, it's going to be, zoning in on one part and just expanding upon that, and growing.
yeah.
So, like, yeah, we'll see. I can't wait for the next record. And I'm like, oh my, it's too early to be, you know.
But you're totally.
But that's why it's fun to just kind of do just to be excited, just to like, oh, have fun with it. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and you get to geek out and just do all, do all the guitar like fun stuff that you want to do without any pressure of like timelines and anything like that.
Yeah, there's no deadlines. There's no like, God knows when the vaccine. It's such a weird time we are, that like in life
Mm.
as a band. So it's like there really is no rush. I feel like there's a rush each day, but there's not really. It's just
Yeah, yeah.
like it's all good. Like the pace of everything's fine. So for writing, so yeah, I'm clearly too locked in my own head about music. It shows you how out of it I am.
But I think I think that's one of the brilliant things about you as a guitarist, and like, and that feeds into the whole band. So you kind of, I feel like that's what you would be like. You know what I mean? Like, I can't see you being a lazy, like, kind of, like, type person. Like, yeah,
Uh, well, I would never want to show up to practice and like, now what do we do? There's always something.
yeah, yeah,
Always reach for. There's always something like when we start jamming, we already know what we're going to work on, what songs, what like, or what parts, what riffs, yada yada. So it's never like we were never like sitting on our thumbs like, what do we do here now? What? It's always like, how does this go together? It's
yeah,
never there's never like a search for ideas. They're always there. It's just a matter of, again, arranging it, and that's where it's cool having my idea for arrangement might not be the best. So that's why it's
yeah,
cool.
yeah. Having
Dave's
other people to
totally
feed off and
drummer, so his approach is way different. Like, oh, I never even thought about that. That could work. Let's try that. So that's what. And Dave doesn't know about, like, he's not a guitar player, so naturally doesn't know about. It's irrelevant. It's totally irrelevant to him what tuning it's in or whatever. So he'll suggest things that
yeah,
I've never considered, and it's like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Let's try that. That never even dawned on me. But of course, that's possible. So
yeah, yeah.
find
Because
out.
he's coming at it from a different angle. Like he's just hearing it like and reacting, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have
And
any
you're like,
either.
yeah, and
He
whereas
doesn't
you're like
have the
totally consumed.
like, I like them, and it doesn't. You know, you get
Yeah, yeah,
too attached to what they write. And that's a problem.
yeah,
Be willing
yeah,
to sacrifice anything. If it's not good, or that part of the song is not good, you have to be willing to part with it, or to leave it behind.
Sheldon. Yeah,
Nothing has to be on the record necessarily. So
yeah. And with the what's your like kind of thing with the recording side of things? Like when you actually get together to record an album, is that like painstaking and annoying, or are you just like, yeah,
uh
let's bang it out? Because you know how sometimes I feel like some bands are very like they go into the studio and it's like we did this in however many, and then there's others who take a really long time,
Yeah.
like to, you know.
We've never had a whole lot of time. We did with one album, but it was a lot of time spent on technical stuff with mics and the studio stuff trying to get that. So it didn't feel like creative time, but
Yeah,
I,
yeah,
half stressful, half like super fun. Like it's there's so much to learn from each recording session. That's what I value the most. Is like anything spontaneous. I love. That's like that
yeah,
happens and it wasn't rehearsed a million times. Like that gets really exciting. Maybe because it's novel. Maybe that's the only reason why. But like
yeah,
that stuff always excites me, and just seeing how engineers and producers work and absorbing what how they view music, how they view a session. That's always cool, and just hearing what your bandmates are doing collectively, like here isolated in the mix with properly.
yeah,
Like, oh, that's what's happening there. Cool, and that can reveal something that needs more attention and needs to be changed, or it's like that is awesome. I love the way that came together. So it's
yeah,
exciting whole picture, and like through the demos things can be all muddy and crappy recording, but when things are
yeah,
on things really come into focus, and that's really cool. There's creative differences, and that's healthy. That means you're working through something. You're not just being lazy. It's easier to shut up and not do anything, but if we're like
yeah,
discussing what's working and not working, that I'd rather people be like at odds about how a song is arranged versus like, oh, whatever, if you're happy, screw it,
yeah. You just,
make
yeah,
that song. So we're not afraid to kind of lay into like share opinions of what isn't working. It's all cool. Let's come to a consensus here of what we want to do with it. So that always arises, and it's never a conflict. It's just a part of the process. Because it's fun.
process, yeah,
You're documenting the songs, so there's no more changing it at that point. You're not just like shifting it around to practice each time. This is being laid down forever in
yeah.
this.
This is, yeah, yeah. Um, and I guess it's really hard to pick one, but is there one album or one song where you've got like something in it where you're like, that fucking riff was the bomb, like one where you're just like so proud of it?
I can't really say that like that's I don't know. I'm glad
It's
that's
a hard thing, that's what I mean.
yeah no I just feel like there's albums I'm proud of, more proud than others. Uh, I feel like if I had to pick some, there's nothing I'd pick. I'm trying to think. I don't know. There's nothing that like I don't know. It doesn't even register as far as like uh,
Yeah.
I don't get as excited about my own music.
As
I
others.
attached to it. Maybe like 20 years from now, if I went back and listened to the records, but I know
Yeah,
them live. So like
yeah,
I don't go back and listen to the records. So I know I was excited at the time when we did
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So, but if anything, it's like, oh, I love Brian's bass line there, or I love Dave's the way that comes
yeah,
together.
yeah. But you
Hard time
don't really,
I know
don't you?
back
You're a
for it.
bit modest and don't really reflect
And,
on your own stuff.
yeah, and not if it's modesty, it's just too close to it, where it's like,
Yeah,
who am I to say? There's things I like, but like
yeah,
some of my favorite songs, people don't want to hear, or like an element isn't as important to them, So I find it more inspiring to like other people's music more so than mine. And so
yeah,
maybe a stock answer, but uh,
yeah.
it's hard.
It's just,
It is cool to hear things back in the studio. Like, oh, that's how it sounds under proper production. Cool. That's rad. Nice. That came out great. Like I'm happy with the way that everything came together there. The pieces all fit there. That's awesome.
yeah,
So that's what's exciting for me is when we hear the whole band together and like everyone's contributed their part. And it's like, damn, I really love how that layers together. And that's what's cool. 'Cause
yeah,
myself, I can sit around and write guitar riff, but that's just one part
yeah.
of it. You hear it all
Part
lock
of it, yeah.
give us.
Well, like when you're playing live, is there one where you just go, yeah, shit, getting into this one, or like, when you see like, I mean, Metallica is the perfect example. You see, you'll be like, you can see it when they're playing live that they're like, fuck yeah, this is my
Yeah.
banger, and they're like, they come out and they're like pumped. And it's like, you know, is there a song that you always have on the set list that you're like, that is the one that, like, you know, either for you or collectively, where you just like, yes, you can't wait to play that one live each
Uh,
time?
yeah, there's certain songs that are more fun to play. Like any of the heavy songs, we gravitate towards heavier songs live for some reason. Like we
Yeah,
have, for some reason, those just translate better. And maybe it's, I don't know why that is, maybe because of energy, but I love playing heavier songs just because the crowd responds. You can feel it.
yeah,
Not that we need a mosh pit or anything, but just when you feel the reciprocated energy, or
mm,
when it's just being shared. So,
yeah,
um, yeah, there's not even like a, I love do falling into riffs, not like my riffs, but riffs, just riffs.
yeah,
Like I'm a sucker for riffs, and whether it be
yeah,
like, say, no matter what band, when they lock in, it's like, yes, it's like a punch in the heart. It's like, yes,
yeah, yeah,
that's the riffs. I like when things lock in, you know. So
yeah.
anything too busy and too like that we're doing is like technical. It's like cool, but it's when we're just like
Just
collectively,
about to.
and that's fun for me. And like the most stuff, the things that I enjoy playing the most are usually the simplest, where it's just like a simple riff, and it's
Yeah,
not.
yeah,
You see that? Did you see where I bent this? It's like that doesn't matter. Like
yeah,
it's.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just want to see people doing this. Like, oh,
Yeah, I
yes,
love it. Yeah, I was gonna say when everyone's like, you got the nod going, and everyone's like, yeah,
that's all I
just
could.
kind of, yeah, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I don't think I think I've asked like a billion things.
My phone's about to jump off a cliff here.
Die.
That's,
Yeah. But yeah, it's been absolutely awesome having you come and chat. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing what comes next, and also obviously when touring opens up again, like getting you guys back and seeing you over here again
yeah, we
would
owe
be
Australia.
awesome.
We had a lot of lost gear in the last tour down there, so it's kind of I the show you saw. We had most of our gear, short of Brian, but we're looking forward to going back to Australia and having our proper gear and proper
Yeah,
that. Like, we love going to Australia. It's a special spot, so uh, we'll always be back. So it's just a matter of when. So
yeah. And I feel like you're getting like the venues are getting bigger each time.
it's been worth going back to, you know. And
Mm.
it's always good packages, good bands. So it's always like a cool bill. Like Lost at Sea was there last time, and
Yeah,
they helped out a lot as far as drawing people and a diverse, made for a diverse, cool bill. You know, so
yeah,
that's fun because it's you don't want to be part of a show that isn't interesting. You know, so
yeah. It's nothing
that
worse than having supports that are like, you know,
yeah,
I hate
exactly.
saying that, but like, you know,
And
it
those dudes were
happens.
fun. I told Mark this from the band like last month, but like
Yeah,
we were bumming on the lost gear and the shows were kind of a mess here and there. But those dudes were so funny that it was just like their vibe was kind of contagious, where it kind of like brought some levity, much needed levity to some heavy. Oh, big deal here didn't arrive. Compared to all the shit going on in the world, it shouldn't
yeah,
matter.
it's
When
nothing.
you fly
Yeah,
24 hours and your gear is told it's in Dallas when it should be in Melbourne, that's a problem, you know. So,
yeah, yeah.
long story short, we love Australia, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Awesome.
And thank
Yeah,
you, man. Fun chatting to you.
yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, have a good one, whatever you end up doing, Panteraing tonight.
Expect something. Uh, we'll see what happens. I'll say that.
Something down tempo now.
Yeah. God forbid. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I'll keep.
Awesome. All
Cool.
right,
Good.
yeah, I'll send you some of those things. But yeah,
Yeah,
awesome. Thanks so much again. And yeah, hopefully I'll see you again soon.
will happen. Yeah, I have faith.
Yeah.
All right.
All
Thanks.
right. Bye.